I am Kate. I am only a maid hired to cook, clean and look after their 2 kids. But I saw the truth. One that should not be covered. I tried to but I couldn't. Jasmine wasn't faithful to Kevin. She went on date with different men when Kevin was away. I recorded everything. That day I summoned the courage. I never wanted to destroy their home, but truth must be told. Hi and welcome back here. I am so glad that you're part of this family. Have you subscribed? What are you waiting for? Do so and hit on notifications for more interesting stories. My dearest returning subscribers, thanks for always stopping by. Let us begin now. People think maids don't see much, but I've learned the truth hides in the quiet corners, between the laundry basket and the bathroom mirror, in whispered phone calls and lipstick-stained coffee mugs. That's how I found out. And that's how everything changed. My name is Kate. I was just 24 when I moved into the house on Maple Street in Atlanta. Kevin and Jasmine were already 5 years into their marriage, with 2 beautiful kids, Kendrick, a loud and curious 4-year-old, and baby Jada, who had the biggest brown eyes I'd ever seen. They needed help, and I needed a job. That's how we found each other. From the first day, I felt something special in that house. It wasn't luxury or peace, it was the energy. You could tell love used to live there. The family photos on the walls told their story, Jasmine in her wedding dress, Kevin with a proud smile, and the kids in matching pajamas on Christmas morning. I cleaned around those pictures like they were sacred. Kevin was a good man, quiet, focused, always in a hurry. He worked long hours, rarely home before 9 p.m. Jasmine was different. She had more time. Yoga on Tuesdays. Book club on Thursdays. She said it helped her stay sane, and Kevin never questioned it. They were both busy, but Kevin's eyes were always tired. Jasmine's eyes were somewhere else. They treated me well. More than well. Jasmine bought me perfume for my birthday. Kevin gave me a bonus at Christmas. The kids grew to love me, and I loved them back like my own. But something about Jasmine always bothered me. It wasn't how she spoke to me, she was polite. It was how she looked through me, like I wasn't really there. Then I started noticing the signs. At first, it was the perfume. Not the one she wore in the house, but a stronger, sexier scent I'd smell on her clothes when I did laundry. Then there were the clothes themselves, dresses too short and heels too high for book club. I thought maybe it was just in my head. Until the phone calls. I never meant to eavesdrop. But when someone talks loudly on the phone while you're folding their towels, it's hard not to listen. She giggled. She whispered. She said things like, "You make me feel young again." It wasn't Kevin she was talking to. Still, I said nothing. It wasn't my place. I was just the maid. One Friday, I took the kids out for ice cream after school while Jasmine said she had a self-care appointment. When I came back, her purse was open on the counter. Her phone buzzed. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. Photos. Texts. One man after another. One hotel after another. My stomach dropped. That night, I couldn't sleep. My heart raced with fear and guilt. Kevin didn't deserve this. He was so kind to me, to the kids. But if I told him, would he believe me? Or would I lose everything? Days passed, and the lies grew louder. Jasmine came home later. Wore darker lipstick. Smiled more at her phone than her husband. I started recording, just to protect myself. Jasmine's voice, her laughter, the names of restaurants, the door slamming as she sneaked out. It all built up until one evening when Kevin came home early. Jasmine wasn't there. The kids were asleep. I was cleaning the kitchen when he walked in, loosened his tie, and sat down with a heavy sigh. "How do you do it?" he asked suddenly. I blinked, unsure. "Do what, sir?" "Keep smiling. This house feels heavier every day." I looked at him. Really looked at him. And I saw the pain written all over his face. That was the moment I knew he deserved the truth. "Sir," I whispered, "there's something I need to show you." I took a deep breath, walked over, and placed my phone on the counter. I played the recordings. His expression didn't change at first, but his hands trembled. He listened. All the way through. Then he asked me to send them to him. "I'm sorry," I said, voice shaking. "I didn't want to be the one." "No," he cut in gently, "thank you, Kate. You may have just saved me." That night, he didn't sleep either. I heard him pacing in the living room long after midnight. 2 days later, Jasmine came home to divorce papers. She screamed. She cried. She called me names I won't repeat. But Kevin stayed calm. He had the truth in his hands now, and there was no turning back. I stayed because of the kids. They needed stability, and Kevin asked me not to leave. So I cooked. I cleaned. I comforted. And I watched him heal, slowly, like a man learning to breathe again after drowning. I didn't expect what came next. One evening, months later, Kevin asked me to sit down. His eyes were softer now. "Kate," he said, "you've been more than a maid. You've been the light in a very dark time. I know this might sound strange, but I think I'm falling for you." I stared at him, heart pounding. "Sir." "Kevin," he said gently. "Just Kevin." And that's how Broken House began to feel like a home again. Falling in love wasn't something I planned. Not with him. Not in that house. Not after everything that had happened. But love doesn't wait for the right moment. It sneaks in quietly, like the morning sun through half-closed blinds. You don't see it coming until it's already there, warming everything. After Jasmine left, the house changed. At first, it felt emptier. Quieter. Even the kids noticed. Kendrick stopped asking, "Where's Mommy?" after a few weeks. Jada didn't speak yet, but she'd cry at night like something was missing. And honestly, something was. Kevin tried his best to stay strong, for them. For me. But I could tell he was hurting. Some mornings he'd just stare at his coffee, eyes distant. Some nights he'd stay up watching cartoons with the kids, just to avoid the silence. I kept doing what I'd always done, cleaning, cooking, helping with homework, changing diapers. But something was different between us. We started talking more. Real conversations. About life, about the kids, about our pasts. Sometimes we'd laugh. Sometimes we'd sit in silence. But even the silence felt full. One night, we were both in the kitchen after the kids had gone to bed. I was washing dishes, and he was drying them, standing close. Closer than usual. "I don't know how I would have survived this without you, Kate," he said softly. "You're stronger than you think, Kevin," I replied, looking down at the plate in my hand. He took the plate, dried it, then looked straight at me. "You're not just a helper here. You're family now." Those words made my heart flutter. I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled and turned away. But deep down, something had already begun to grow. A few weeks later, he asked me to go to a small park with him and the kids. It was a Saturday. The weather was warm. Kendrick ran ahead, laughing, and Kevin carried Jada on his shoulders. I walked beside him, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a maid. I felt like I belonged. At one point, Kevin sat beside me on a bench and said, "Kate, can I tell you something personal?" I nodded. I used to believe love only happens once. That when Jasmine and I got married, that was it. But now, I think love can come back, stronger, wiser. And maybe, just maybe, it can begin again with someone who truly sees you. I looked at him, heart beating faster than ever before. "I see you," I whispered. He leaned in slowly and kissed my forehead. It wasn't a romantic kiss. Not yet. But it was the softest, most respectful gesture I'd ever received. That night, I lay awake thinking about everything. About how far we'd come. About how love had somehow grown in a place where trust had once been broken. Still, I had doubts. People talk. And I was just a maid. Would anyone accept us? A few days later, Kevin's sister visited. She was tall, beautiful, and sharp-tongued. "So, you're the famous Kate," she said, arms crossed. "Yes," I replied nervously. "I heard you're the reason Jasmine's out of the picture," she added. I stayed silent. She looked me over, then said, "Well, thank you." I blinked. What? I never liked that woman. She never respected my brother or his time. But you held the house together. I see how the kids cling to you. I see how Kevin looks at you. You're part of this family whether anyone likes it or not. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until she hugged me. After that, things became easier. Kevin and I started spending more time together, dinners after the kids went to bed, movie nights on the couch. One night, he held my hand. The next week, he kissed me for real. And this time, it wasn't on the forehead. It wasn't a whirlwind romance. It was slow and gentle. Full of respect and understanding. He didn't try to rush me. He listened. He waited. Then, one morning, over breakfast, Kendrick looked up and asked, "Daddy, is Kate gonna stay forever?" Kevin smiled and looked at me. "What do you think, Kate?" My voice trembled. "If you'll have me. I'd love to." That was the moment it became real. He proposed on a quiet Sunday evening. No big scene. Just the two of us, sitting on the porch as the sun went down. He held my hand, looked into my eyes and said, "Marry me, Kate. Not because you saved me, but because you're the one I want to build a real life with." Tears filled my eyes. "Yes," I whispered. 1,000 times yes. We had a small wedding in the backyard. The kids wore white. I wore the simplest dress I could find. Kevin's eyes never left mine. It wasn't the wedding of fairy tales. It was something better, it was ours. And as I stood there, holding his hand, I thought about everything, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the long nights, the quiet strength it took to tell the truth. It had all led to this moment. Love had found us in the ashes. And we were ready to rise. When I first walked into Kevin and Jasmine's house, I was just a helper. A stranger with a mop and quiet footsteps. I never imagined I'd become the woman of the house, his wife, a stepmother, and the heart of a home once broken. But life is strange like that. It tears down the things you trust and builds something better from the pieces, if you let it. Our wedding was small, but full of love. No flashy guests. No long speeches. Just family, close friends, and 2 smiling kids running between folding chairs. Kevin looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. After the wedding, things didn't magically become perfect. Real love takes work. Kendrick had questions. Jada was still too small to understand everything, but I could see the confusion sometimes in her eyes. Kevin and I had to learn how to be husband and wife, not boss and maid. We moved into a new house, smaller but brighter. We wanted a fresh start, and the old place carried too many memories. Jasmine didn't fight the divorce for long. The proof I gave Kevin was enough to silence any argument. She moved out of Atlanta shortly after, and only called the kids once every few months. Kendrick asked about her sometimes. Why doesn't Mommy come to visit? Kevin always answered gently. Mommy's figuring some things out. But we're here. We love you. And we did. We really did. As time passed, I stepped fully into my role, not just as their caregiver, but as their mother. Kendrick started calling me Mom by accident one day, and the way he looked at me afterward told me he meant it. Jada followed soon after, babbling Mama as she toddled into my arms. That moment broke me. In the best way. Kevin never stopped appreciating me. Not once. He came home early just to have dinner with us. He left little notes on the fridge. Thank you for loving us. Or you make this house feel like heaven. He brought me flowers on random Wednesdays. Held my hand during storms. Listened when I cried, when I laughed, when I was just tired. One night, after putting the kids to bed, we sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket. I laid my head on his shoulder and whispered, "Do you ever regret anything?" He kissed the top of my head and said, "Only that I didn't see you sooner." The past didn't disappear. Jasmine was still part of our story. But not every ending is a failure. Sometimes, an ending is the beginning of something stronger. I kept working hard, not because I had to, but because it's who I am. I cleaned, I cooked, I cared. Not as a maid, but as a wife, a mother, and a woman proud of the life she built with honesty. People talked at first. Some said I stole someone else's husband. Some said I was lucky to be chosen. But they didn't know what it took to tell the truth, when it could have cost me everything. They didn't see the nights I cried myself to sleep, unsure if I'd done the right thing. But Kevin knew. And that was enough. We taught the kids about trust, respect, and loyalty. We didn't sugarcoat life. We let them see us argue and make up. We let them see us cry and laugh. We showed them that love is more than words, it's what you do when no one's watching. One summer, Kevin surprised me with a small bakery space in the neighborhood. "You always said you love baking," he said. "Let's turn that into something more." And we did. Kate's Kitchen opened 2 months later. I baked in the mornings and came home in time for dinner. Kevin helped with the kids and managed the business side. Kendrick worked the register after school. Even little Jada wore a mini apron. Life didn't become perfect, but it became real. And that's better. Sometimes I still walk through the house at night, just to take it all in. The toys on the floor, the smell of cinnamon rolls, the sound of Kevin's soft breathing as he reads to the kids. I remember who I was before all of this. A girl with a job and a quiet voice. A woman people overlooked. But now, I'm Kate Moore, wife, mother, business owner, and the beating heart of a home rebuilt with love and truth. If there's anything I've learned, it's this. Love isn't found in fancy weddings or perfect families. It's found in the brave choice to tell the truth. In loyalty, even when it's hard. In the quiet person who refuses to look away when things go wrong. That's what saved Kevin. That's what saved me. And that's what built this beautiful life. Remember to subscribe, like and hit on notifications for more interesting stories like this. See you on the next one.